Tradition Homes and Highland Homes. Tradition is newer, and Zach will talk about that, but Zach's in-law is Bill Darling and Chris, who I've known forever. And so they have Darling Homes sold to Taylor Morrison, they're non-compete.
We waited 72 hours for that non-compete.
And then they started Tradition Homes. So I want to thank you guys so much for taking the time. I know you guys are so busy. We had to coordinate all their schedules, but thank you very much for being here. We really do appreciate it. And I want to thank all of you guys for coming as well. So, so should we start with the questions?
Yes.
Okay. Bachelor number 1. In your sexiest building. I'm just kidding. They're all married, so if somebody's getting excited, forget about it.
Sure, they're all excited.
Okay, and by the way, I did call this, navigating your way through new construction, the big 3. These are, not only are they presidents of Highland Homes, but they're big guys. Highland Homes, Traditions, and American Legend, but they are big. Stand up.
Let's see who's taller.
That's 6'4" here. I don't know.
You've seen me eat a
It's a
cheeseburger.
great
I
picture.
thought you were talking about how big I was.
It's always a great picture with Cindy and Mark.
Catch you from the chin there.
Yeah.
So anyways, let's get started. So I know, some of you guys can be worried. We're going to keep it short so we can get through a lot of good questions.
Yeah.
A quick, 1-minute elevator speech on your company.
That was for you, Zach. Don't take 10.
Well, the sheet says 2, so I'm wondering why she cut it down to 4.
1 minute.
1 minute. All right, I'll start since I'm the new guy. As Cindy mentioned, Tradition Homes, we are the new kid on the block. We launched April 1st of 2019. I'm proud and honored to be partnered with my father-in-law, Bill Darling, as we launch a special company. And similarly honored to be sitting next to these guys. I'm not there. These guys have been operating in Texas for a long time, and as we look at what we want to do over the next really generations in North Texas, it's deliver world-class customer experience and really emulate what these guys have done with their company. So our focus is really Collin County. We don't like to make the home building business very complicated. I know right now it can seem pretty complicated, but we really focus on that world-class customer experience, securing lots in prime time locations, and building quality product. We feel like if we do those things, the rest will take care of itself. And we really value, I know it sounds like blowing smoke, but we really value our realtor relationships. We have not slashed commissions. We've been very consistent with how we feel about you, not only in what we say, but how we pay. So just thank you all for sticking with us, new home builders, during this craziness. I know each one of us approaches this business through a different lens. We're all in this together. So let's continue to remind ourselves of that. We'll talk through dynamics of the industry and interest rates, but let's just continue to stick together. And I know we're gonna get through this just fine. So
Thank you, Zach. Thank you.
That was more than 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It won't be the last time I go over, I promise.
All right, Kevin.
Me? I'll stick to 30 seconds. How's that?
Okay.
I'm with American Legend Homes and Belclair Homes. We build homes from West Fort Worth over to Allen, I would guess. I think we have 28 active communities here in DFW. We also build in Colorado.
Yeah.
If you guys want to buy a house in Colorado. We've been in business since 2003. We closed 890 homes last year.
A few more than us.
We're going to close less than that this year, even with the great market that we're having, just because of supply chain issues.
Correct. Yeah.
Again, we're focused on building quality and quality neighborhoods and taking care of our customers and taking care of our good realtors. So, other than
And I'll say I personally own an American Legend owned Highland, not a Tradition Homes. I don't think you're selling to investors, but back when you could, I bought homes from both of these guys. So, and I think you're building in Colorado because you just like Colorado, right?
yeah, I grew up in Colorado. So
Yes.
it's kind of weird.
Yeah,
fight with another builder. They were stealing our framer.
I don't see anything from
You know, it's weird for the president to go out there and start getting in.
That's how bad it is.
Yeah, that's how bad it is.
It's tough times.
It wasn't these guys.
Uh,
Yeah, you should see the other guy.
Yeah. Aaron?
Yeah, I'm Aaron Graham, Highland Homes. So we've been in business a little over 35 years. I think most of you probably know us. We build from, I'm trying to remember how far east, so Royce City to Aledo to Sherman Denison, Waxahachie.
Yeah.
So we're everywhere. I don't know how many communities we have. I think it's 52. We'll close this year about 2,000 homes in DFW. About 3,800 across the state. We're Texas only. We're in the other Houston, Austin, San Antonio. What's the common thread here, besides that we're tall, is we're all privately held builders, and that's a big difference, right? And I'll just say too,
Makes a big difference.
we have a very cyclical industry we do, right? And it's been a nice run, and I'm not predicting or forecasting things are gonna fall off a cliff, but here's the thing, kinda like what Zach said, we know the business is cyclical, we're in this together, so Highland is consistent, good market, bad market, like these guys, in the partnership with realtors, right? So, good times or bad times, we're focused on your clients, our customers, and we're focused on partnering with you guys. So, you know, who knows, stock market went down 1,100 points yesterday, it's going down more today, there's craziness going on, we'll probably talk a little bit about that. There are some silver linings in all this, so we can talk about that too, but it's cyclical, there'll be up times and down times, we live through them all, and live to tell the tale.
Yeah.
So look forward to talking more.
Yeah, so this last year in new construction has been crazy for you guys as well as us. It's been hard to find our buyers' homes, there's been long lists, waiting lists, there's been 2 homes per month, there's been things like that, and I know there's reasons for all of that. But also, we're feeling a little bit of a shift. I wanted to know, currently now, with your builders, what is the process, if we have a buyer that calls us today that is looking to buy a home, what is the current status and process with your company? For instance, wait lists, not wait lists, what's going on? What's today's market?
You looking at me, so you want me to start?
Yeah, sure.
Bachelor
Yeah.
Do I have to do it in my sexiest voice? No, so,
You would prefer.
so,
Or sing.
the markets, yeah, you do not
I
want me
know
to.
you can sing.
You don't want me to sing.
You're a
my
good
answers.
singer.
So, it's been, again, cyclical, and I think a lot of people went to inventory only for a while because we couldn't keep pace. Kevin alluded to it, and it's real supply chain challenges, getting the material, getting the labor, and just having too many units per builder. I mean, all 3 of us are focused on quality of construction, but also quality of experience. And so, unlike some of our publicly traded counterparts that will load up a builder who will carry 40 homes, I'm pretty confident these guys don't do that, we don't do that, and so we had to limit sales. And there's lots of ways to do that. We went on allotments, sell inventory only, lumber costs went out a little crazy, and so if you sold a build job, you could get burned, because we don't have an escalation clause in our contracts, so we're not asking people to bring more money, and so we had to be sure. So everything ebbs and flows. Right now, as of today at Highland Homes, there are probably in DFW 3 communities that even have a wait list left. We just recently opened up build jobs. So
From scratch.
From scratch.
Like where they can pick a lot and pick a design and go to the design
Yeah,
center.
there's a few communities that are gapped out, no lots, so you can't do a build job. All we have is inventory. We have a few communities where all we have is inventory and a couple of lots that are empty, but we've already got the permits back from the city, and we're planning on releasing the inventory.
Right.
So we do
That's
have quite a few communities that don't have room for build jobs. You have to
Right.
call the sales counselor and ask, simply because of availability of the lot. But we are open for build jobs. We are selling from build job to finished spec, although there aren't very many finished inventory homes out there. And so we're pretty much open for business. And for a long time, Highland was closed, appointment only. We're no longer appointment only as of the end of April.
Doors are open. Okay.
It's similar thing, doors are open for us too. I think an analogy, I won't use specific numbers, but say we had, in the height of the craziness, 500 people on a wait list, and we were appointment only, and I think that was the peak of the frustration for a lot of us in this room. I'd say that most intense wait list now, not only are we no longer appointment only, doors are open 10 to 6 Monday through Saturday and 12 to 6 on Sundays, But that wait list that was 500, now it's 2. And it's quickly going down. I mean, folks, think about it. You've had 18 to 36 months of folks kind of waiting around. Prices in some communities have gone up $300,000. That's a pretty darn quick phone call. No thank you, I've either moved on, you're out of my price point, yada, yada, yada. So there's a lot of reasons why those wait lists are shrinking, but we're certainly open for business. We're in what I would call A-plus communities, Winton Ranch, very desirable, Mustang Lakes, Light Farms, Lakewood, Brook Hollow. So all of our communities do have wait lists, but again, I want to emphasize they're shrinking. We've since the beginning haven't, and part of it's due to how we're capitalized, to be quite candid. My pockets aren't as deep as these guys. We could never go all specs. We just couldn't. So we really, as a business from day one, stayed true to wanting to partner with you guys, wanting to partner with the buyer, get their earnest money, and know that, yeah, maybe we're leaving some money on the table margin-wise, but we were willing to take that risk. So we've been historically 90% build jobs, 10% specs, and we are shifting that a little bit. We're 80% build, 20% spec now.
But you're at a higher price point too.
We're at a
so
higher price point.
You're gonna have to probably,
correct.
those buyers want to pick what they wanna pick.
Exactly. Thank you, Randy. We're gonna do 80 homes this year, and our average price point is $1 million. So I think that was a very, very fair point. Hopefully I answered your question.
Yeah, absolutely. So Kevin, I know that with your specs, you were doing, there was such high demand, some of them you were not auctioning off, but you were
Best and
final offers.
How'd that go?
Best and final offer.
Yeah, best and final. So
Yeah.
so is that how things are still going, or what's your strategy?
Today, it's probably 50-50. 50% of our communities are still doing best and final offer, and
The
then
really
the
hot,
other
high
ones are.
demand ones?
Yeah, and, we just, a year ago, it was like drinking out of a,
Fire hose.
fire hose. And, today it's more of a faucet, which is good, but.
Yeah.
The water's still flowing.
It was very, very difficult for us to maintain these lists of people. And what we found were that people were going from community to community to community and putting their name on the list. And then they were ending up buying. And so we're maintaining this list, and we're going through 25 names before we find somebody that actually has interest. So that's why we kind of went away from that. And we originally started doing best and final offer on kind of our premium lots, on our lake lots and those type of things. But we ended up doing that in almost every community. But now we've kind of gone back, and now today, in a number of communities, we have homes to sell. And so.
Isn't this good to hear?
Yeah.
Yay! We're so happy as
And,
realtors.
yeah, I sent a little deal out to my salespeople yesterday saying I was gonna be here, and what should I say? They say, bring your customers out, bring them out to our neighborhood. So, but it has slowed, There's still demand, there's still, people, especially in the primary communities, the hotter neighborhoods, that, we still have great interest. And the good news is that costs have slowed significantly over the last 2 months. When you look at, I looked at our average sales price today compared to a year ago, and it's drastically different, and it's scary different is what it is, and we're very concerned about that. And so hopefully things are going to flatten out with regard to costs, and we can kind of get back to a normal operation.
It's interesting you say that, because as somebody who's out there in the marketplace on a daily basis, and to you as the president of a home building company, it's shocking to us. So you can imagine a consumer who went and looked 6 months ago, and then they were waiting for the prices to come down, and now the shock of, they should have listened to their real estate.
They should have listened to their realtor.
I'm telling you. Okay, so we are seeing on the pre-owned market, we're seeing definitely a cool down. We're seeing that the pre-owned homes are staying on the market longer. We're not getting 70 offers, we're getting 2 offers. The inventory is really drastically increasing, but of course it is that time of year. So how much is the time of year? How much is it, people going, oh gosh, we're gonna miss the boat, we better get our house on the market right now. And I know you guys all, I assume, meet with economists and consultants, correct?
We do.
Right. That's smart. Okay, so anyways, what do you for the remainder of 22 and going into 23? Like, for instance, do you think that prices are gonna continually to gradually go up a little bit and then stabilize? Do you think prices may fall at any point in 22, 23? I mean, pull out all of our crystal balls, what the economists said, what would you say if you had to say what your gut is what's gonna happen? What do you think is gonna happen?
You're looking at me again, you want me to start?
I'm sorry.
No,
I'll start and then you can.
Yeah, let him step in
Start.
I'll
first.
step in first, and you guys can
Go.
correct me and make the real
There you
story
go.
sound better. So I think a couple of things. First, the home starts have been in kind of that mid 54,000 as you kind of look at an annualized pace. And economists that we talk to, the closing pace is significantly less than that. So there's
You're
just,
talking new home sales.
I'm talking
New home
new home
sales.
starts.
New home
for
starts.
last year.
correct,
For
or
last
really
year.
for the last 4 quarters.
The last 4 quarters, 54,000.
54, is that the right? I think I'm close.
Okay.
Well, the closings have been in the high 40s. So there's been this consistent gap between new home starts and new home closings, which really highlights production challenges, lack of trades, lack of materials, elongated cycle time. So builders are really fighting to try to close that gap and close homes and get them finished in a quality manner.
Carrying costs and all that stuff, that's
That's
fun,
right.
isn't it?
So I think as you look at, we just ended the first quarter a couple months ago. I think a lot of the builders, us included, really ramped up first quarter starts to try to hit the year for 2022. So my first crystal ball prediction, and I think these guys would agree and economists would agree, is starts are most likely going to come down over the next 4 quarters from this mid-50s to maybe closer to 50, 47, which is still, in my opinion, a healthy number. But we're going to really strive to close that starts and closing gap.
And we're talking across DFW.
Correct.
I just want everybody to know, we're talking new home
Because this is not
starts
Collin
across-
County.
Correct.
No.
That's across DFW, and we're primarily focused to Collin County as a builder, but yes, I'm
Right.
talking DFW. In addition to that, you're gonna see interest rates probably continue, maybe not at the same rapid pace we've seen the last few months, but they're gonna continue to increase. We could all take a guess at what we think they're gonna be and where they're gonna land at the end of the year, but my hope, especially given the buyer we serve, is that this interest rate increase really helps us all out. It frees up
Well,
some trades, frees
tell
up
us.
some.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and
Well,
it-
the list
it-
is.
I think it's as a small builder, our challenge is really competing with maybe some of the Pulte, D.R. Horton, Lennars, who are really swallowing up all the trades, all the materials. So our buyer selfishly has a little more equity, 3rd, 4th, 5th time move up. So we're viewing this as really a silver lining, to be quite candid.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to see the rapid increase
I mean, we do.
continue, but I think that this craziness that we've been seeing the last 3 years cannot continue. None of us can keep up with it. We're all ticked for different reasons. So we gotta do a soft landing. I think I saw in the questions a bubble reference. I don't think that's coming. There's too much demand for DFW. There's nowhere else I'd rather be running a company in the entire world. So we got the demand, we got to counter blessings, but a little bit of an interest rate tick up, in my opinion, is really going to help level out some of the craziness we've seen.
Well, and you know, in the real estate community, we kind of say the same thing. It's been a tough time, it's tough, and it'll kind of weed out the real estate industry as well. You know, the realtors that were struggling, it's gonna be a tough time for them, so.
You want to scoot back over, or you still?
I did! Did I not go all the way back? There we go.
Okay, what do you guys think?
Well, again, none of us really know. It's hard. We have 3 or 4 different consultants, economists we talk to, and there's 3 or 4 different opinions. But our planning assumption is that interest rates will go up just a little bit more and probably plateau. Inflation is still out of control. I would say that I do believe that things will settle down, starts will come down. That's our belief as well, which will free up some of the material and some of the labor. The challenge we face, I saw there was a question on lots. I can only speak for Highland. We have ample lot supply under development with developers who develop them for us. We don't self-develop any of our own lots. And so we're not worried about the lot count, but we are worried about the lot cost. So we've contracted for these lots. And just roughly, the lots that we'll be delivering over the next 12 to 18 months are at least 20% more expensive than the lots that we're building on today. So even if lumber comes down a little, or shingles come down a little, or windows come down, or the framer charges less, we're gonna have to absorb, you know, and the average lot, it's hard to say an average lot, but I mean, the lot, the day when you could buy a $50,000 lot's been long gone. So if you think about a $100,000 lot, right, which in Collin County is probably cheap, you know, you're talking about $20,000 cost increase, right? So the pressure of costs for our industry, it's gonna be some go down, some go up. The lot supply, I think, is going to be ample, and it's their time of development is taking longer as well. Used to be they could deliver lots in 12 months, now it's 14, 16, 18 months. Variety of reasons, but they're facing challenges as well. The developers, they can't get the excavators, they can't get the guys to come pave the streets, they can't get people to come lay the sewer pipe. So they have their challenges as well. Just like our starts are ahead of our closings, their lot starts are ahead of their lots finished. And so there will be an equilibrium, and there will be more lots. I can't promise you though. Home prices, I mean, our best assumption and what our different consultants are talking about is single digit price increases instead of double, triple digit. We've seen our average sales price has gone up in DFW. Last year it was, well, since the pandemic, our average price was about $440, and now it's $580, right? So $140,000 in 2 years is a lot. The lumber pack alone on the average house for us used to be $35,000, and now it's $75,000. That's just the lumber.
Yeah.
And then the lot cost on top of that. So there's gonna be a lot of pressure. All builders, privately or publicly, have secured lots and contracted for lots that are gonna be more expensive. So the next generation of lots, that is partly why I agree with Zach. There's not a bubble to be burst. That's one reason, because the costs aren't gonna be going down. The second is, you talk about the existing home inventory doubling. Well, when you're 0.6 months supply and you go to 1.2, that feels like a lot. That's still not enough, right? There's not enough listings out there. And these higher rates are gonna push buyers to stay home and not list as well. So that we are in peak season, we should have the most listings right now,
Exactly. Right.
But it's still paltry compared to. And our inability to build more because of our constraints in the supply chain, that just constrains supply. A bubble can only be a bubble if there's too much inventory. There's not too much inventory. There hasn't been too much inventory, existing or new, for a long time. And we have undersupplied, the home building industry has undersupplied what the demand has been for 10 years.
Right.
So there's a chronic undersupply of homes in the country.
Right.
So there's not a bubble coming. There's a calming down. Instead of prices like going to the moon on a rocket ship, it's let's come in, and there might be stabilization in pockets, sub-markets. You might see some compression in sales.
I'm coming to give you some more.
But the
It's there you a
I
little
quit
bit.
listening about 10 minutes ago.
I know.
I forgot what the question was.
It was why.
Where are we?
Yeah.
Just kidding. All of his points are very valid.
Yeah.
Very good.
But you might have a different view on that. I mean, that's our take, and I get asked that question at least once a day. Is there a bubble?
Oh,
The answer is no. There's
Yeah.
not.
I would just say two things. Number one, job growth in DFW is still strong.
That's one of my questions. One of the
And
great
it's,
things about
and it's
DFW
great,
that
it's
you
much
keep
better,
saying.
and I compare that to Denver, and it's much stronger. Our relocation, we're still seeing 25% relocation buyers coming through our doors, so I think all of those things help us have a softer landing. As a company, we have 240 specs in DFW today. I'm a little concerned about that, but when you look at our spec inventory, the majority of them are stage 4 or less, which means rough mechanicals. Yeah, out of 10, rough mechanicals. So, we basically sold everything above that.
Yeah, wow. So just, you were talking about lots. So understand, if there's a piece of dirt that gets purchased, you can't just start putting houses on it like that. It's like about a 2-year process of.
Or longer, depending on how long it takes to
To
entitle it.
develop it, to finally start to build a home. So, one of my questions was, cause we have in the past had a lot shortage, because of not having enough, the worry in the market and people holding back. So, and you say we have plenty of lots now. Talk talk a little bit about.
Yes, please start with Kevin.
Yes.
So you can chide me, is that what the deal is?
No.
Zach knows to sit in the middle
Yeah,
now.
let's let the idiot start.
So explain to folks that may not, understand lots and lot prices and things like that. So like 10 years ago,
Oh, boy.
okay, or so, somewhere,
Yeah.
they
Somewhere far away.
sell these lots linear feet across the front of the house,
Right.
the front of the lot.
Right.
So, let's pick somewhere, Castle
Okay,
Hills or
so,
somewhere 10 years ago, what that cost per linear
Sure.
foot was compared to now in Salina or something so far out, now
Right.
what you're facing as far as price.
Right. Well, that's a tough question.
I'm sorry.
Um,
Anybody can
but I
answer.
would just say, probably 2012, 2013, we were paying about $1,200 a front foot. So on a 50-foot lot, you're paying $1,200 a front foot. Today, I think in just our new community just north of Winton Ranch, I think we're paying $2,300.
Which community are you referring to?
Mosaic.
Okay,
Mosaic.
okay,
And,
okay.
and, you even go further,
Wow.
further out, and you're still in the,
That's
high
huge.
1900 feet of front foot. So,
Right.
yeah, and so compared to infill, compared to where we are today.
Yeah,
So.
and the TPC.
Yeah, the TPC was like 39.
You're talking PGA?
Yes.
PGA. 39.
3,800 front foot.
Wow.
Yeah, probably before fees.
Yeah,
There's-
so a 50-foot.
Before all the fees,
Yeah.
yeah.
all the fees.
That's
You're
the
probably
baseline.
4,000 plus than that. I think
Yeah.
another, example, Cindy, would be Light Farms.
Yeah.
10 years ago, we all thought Light Farms was out in the boonies. I mean,
Right.
it's way out there. And our first deal there, again with the prior company, was 1,100 front foot.
Mm-hmm.
I think at that time we had to give, so a 60-foot lot, 1,100 front foot, you're paying $66,000. The developer at that time probably asked for 5% earnest money. And he's probably gonna allow you to take down those lots over probably 4 to 5 a quarter. I mean, just
Give you
come out to
time, not to
Salina,
do all
pay a
at once.
reasonable price, reasonable earnest money, and reasonable takedown.
Right.
The deal that's delivering this month, Hazel Phase 4,
Mhm.
our models in Hawthorne, so we'll be selling into this Hazel Phase 4. Those lots are 2,500 a front foot,
Wow.
so 1,100 then to 2,500 now. Earnest money was 5%, now it's 19.9%.
Wow.
Takedowns were 4 per quarter, now I think they're 9. So
So that's a
it's
lot
not just
more
price.
liability.
You think about capital, you think about how you manage your family budgets. Well, we manage our company's budgets in similar fashions. The price of the lots has gone up, but all the other stuff has
The
gone up
amount-
as well. So
yeah,
it's,
that's a
the
big
price of
deal.
playing poker is a little bit higher.
Yes,
these
it
days.
is. So we started to touch on all the great things about Dallas. So when they're talking to their clients and their clients are concerned about the current prices and is there a bubble coming, what is it that you say that keeps Dallas strong? I mean, I know what I say, but what would you say puts us in such a great position that we're here in Dallas-Fort Worth? Anybody?
I think you said job growth. I
Yeah.
mean, job growth is always a plus. And it's funny, I was talking to a buyer from California about 3 weeks ago, out in Winton Ranch actually. And they were still excited about the value they got. They're selling their home in Palo Alto, which is a 1972, 1,600 square foot home for like 2.2 million, or something like that.
Yeah.
But they came out and they were like, oh, I get this now? I mean,
Yeah.
they have in their heads,
Yeah.
like, it's crazy good.
Right.
It's still good, it's just not crazy good. So even the Californians are coming going, hey, wait a minute, my friend moved here 2 years ago and they got a house for $400,000. What do you mean it's 600 now?
Exactly.
But it's still great for them. But that's the point. Relative to every other major metropolitan area in the country, and the strength and diversity of our economy, right? There's no other place I'd rather be building. I went to a conference in California a couple weeks ago, and a lot of national players there too, and they're like, oh yeah, Highland Homes, you guys build in Texas, right? Yeah, where else? Just Texas. Every single one of them went, oh, like, that's good. Because the things we're experiencing, all the costs, all the supply chain challenges, all that is across the country. But they're also, you know, to get lots on the ground in California, it's like a 4-year process, not an 18-month process. And so they're facing a whole host of additional challenges, and the affordability problem, it's here. We have an affordability problem,
Yeah.
but it's exacerbated everywhere else. So I still think this is a great place to buy a home. And the future forecast, the demographers, is that the right word, are forecasting the population growth of Texas and DFW in particular, that demand is going to be constant. So some people are worried about paying $575,000 for a home when last year it cost, you know, $425,000. I get that. And interest rates have gone up 200 basis points in 4 months. I get that. It's still a pretty good investment.
Yeah.
It's still a pretty good investment. Not only is there not a bubble, there's still people coming here. You about 25% relocations here? Yeah,
Probably 40.
You're 40, we're probably 25 to 30. People are coming, people are coming.
And we've got a fantastic airport, centrally located, you know, great schools, and all kinds of great stuff, so.
And the diversity of the economy, I said that right?
Yes.
The diversity, we have a tech industry here now. We have
Yes.
a financial services industry that's strengthened. It's not, I mean, we're very diverse. Even Houston's more diverse than it used to be.
Yeah.
Cindy, I think you nailed it with the airport. I mean, he touched on the business-friendly environment. We all know that state income tax in Texas is favorable.
And taxes for
Job
business.
growth is great, but the airport, I don't think gets enough airtime.
No pun intended.
Yeah, no pun intended. We were in the Byron Nelson last week, all week long, with the Salesmanship Club of Dallas, and I had the chance to speak to, if you're any of your golfers or watch CBS, Jim Nance does the stuff, and Amanda Bellionis-Renner does the stuff in front of the screen with the players. I had the chance to talk to her. She lives in San Diego. Well, she went from Dallas to Tulsa. The PGA Championship started this morning in Southern Hills. And she was just, you know, bantering, looking at her phone, talking about getting home from Tulsa to San Diego. She was like, had to go through, she had to make a connection,
Exactly.
8-hour flight. She was like,
Yeah.
Jim, in Christmas, we should live in Dallas.
Right.
You
For
can get
business, it's
anywhere
great.
direct. And you think what COVID's done, the work from home flexibility people have, that flexibility is great, but if you need to get somewhere, boy, is it nice to be able to fly direct. So I don't personally think the airport gets enough attention,
Yeah.
as we all talk
Dallas
about.
is
So
super attractive to businesses.
it really is.
So that's why everybody's coming.
And I have no say in this, and I have no inside baseball, but there have been rumblings, property tax reform is coming,
Yes.
right? With property values in Texas going where it's going, the surplus of revenue that's gonna generate from that, our state and local governments are gonna have to come and reconcile that. Because I know there's a lot of people moving here, so we still gotta build a lot of infrastructure and all that, but property taxes are a big negative, right, in Texas?
Yes.
That's gonna have to be reformed. There are rumblings already saying it's gonna have to, I mean, think about it, if property values have gone up 40 or 50% and incomes haven't,
Yes.
this is already a difficult place to
Yes.
retire on fixed income, right, with property
Yeah.
taxes. So I think there's gonna be some reform coming.
Now, on all of our rental properties, we have 8 of them, they all increased by 40% last year.
Yeah.
Of course, we fight and all that, but that's been fun. So, let's talk about supply chain issues and build timeframe. What are your biggest supply chain issues? When do you think they might alleviate? And bring out those crystal balls, you guys.
Yeah.
And what's the build time? I know it depends on the size of
Nobody
the
wants
house.
to start with that one.
I know, but-
Black windows are the toughest for us.
And I know
Um,
it starts at, it depends on what size home you're building as well, so.
Yeah. Our
yeah.
average is
Wow.
our average is about 210 days right now.
Is that start to finish?
Yes.
From construction start to finish.
Yes.
Contract.
Construction, okay, yeah.
What
Goes
was
to
it?
Permitting first.
Form board set to closing on the house. About 210 days. Our average used to be about 160. So it's up. I would also say the supply chain, it's a game of whack-a-mole. One day it's windows, the next week it's shingles, the next week it's paint. Black windows, or it's the colored caulking you have to put around, so right now, today, this week, May 19th, it's ductwork. It's the HVAC ductwork.
Insulation, ductwork,
Yeah.
lumber, even though lumber is
Stuff for the
flattened
second
out,
story.
lumber is still hard.
Yeah, engineered
to
wood
get.
product for the
Yeah,
subfloor.
engineered wood products.
It's been a fun time,
Appliances.
huh?
I'm like numb to that question.
You know, it's so interesting, and most folks I don't think know this, a black window, especially the ones that higher end
Yes,
luxury
we like
production
black windows.
builders
I
put
like
on.
black windows.
That look's become very popular, as we
Yes.
all know. Well, a black window is a white window with a foil and black epoxy put on top of it. So we're having trouble getting that foil and epoxy. They just can't get it. And so we have a question mark. Some of our houses are getting to that stage where they need windows, and we can't get black windows. So that's a challenge. We're working through it. We think we're gonna solve it, but to Aaron's point, it's a game of whack-a-mole. And then the lumber stuff. You get a lumber pack these days, and the engineered product is not there, meaning you can't really do the whole house. You can't go to the second story. Well, the lumber pack hits the lot. Aaron already mentioned it's like gold. It was 35,000, now it's 75,000. What do you think is gonna happen to that lumber pack as it sits there for 4 days and then 4 weeks it's gonna walk off? So part of a builder's cost is not that just our budget went from $35,000 to $75,000. It's that we've got EPOs for another $10,000 of lumber that was stolen, and we're paying for security cameras. So it's this whole lumber game. You try to solve it, but it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, we think the builders, it's tough, and why can't the builders be easier to work with? But they are going through a really, really, really challenging time, Aaron, you already addressed this, but,
So don't say anything.
so you're good.
You're good. What he said.
Yes, but as far as you guys are concerned, for people to, are they able to come now and take a lot and pick a floor plan and go to design, or you're not quite there yet, you're just doing really mainly specs, or what's the
So,
situation?
for us, we have 240 specs, so we'd like to sell those specs.
At first. So not until those were gone.
But,
I
I think we're evolving to that. I think
Yeah.
as things slow, we will get back to doing build jobs. And we've always been very focused as a company to doing build jobs, customizing floor plans, giving customers what they want, being able to go through the design center.
Yeah.
The challenge for people going through the design center today is they're picking products that we know we can't get.
Right.
And so that's why we've created specs and we've created the palettes that we're using, because today we know we can get them
Right.
sometimes, most of the time,
Yeah.
and so we're even having to go back and reselect on some of those things. So I think we will slowly get back to that. We're not doing new builds yet, but that could change in June.
We went to a neighborhood out in Princeton, and I won't say who the builder was, but I went in with my goddaughter, and every single home in the entire neighborhood was being built out with the exact same tile, the exact same wall color, the exact same carpet, the exact same backsplash. Doesn't matter what the floor plan is, everything was gonna be identical in the entire neighborhood, because they had it.
Right.
They had it in storage, and they
Right.
they could get it,
Right.
so,
We are doing build jobs, and I don't mean to, slightly different company, slightly different volume, but we are offering build jobs.
I bet Kevin starts doing build jobs next.
He's gonna send an email. Oh, you're hurting.
Come buy all those 240 specs.
I'll tell you what, we do have.
I'm gonna be sick next time.
Having said that, we do have guardrails. though.
I'm calling that early.
You can't come in, Cindy, and the custom word is a kind of a cuss word right now.
Yes,
And it's not because we don't want to be
no, I totally
friendly
get
to
it.
you or your
And
clients.
they
It's
took
almost
care
like
of it.
custom means something different to the realtor as it does to the customer, as it does to the sales manager and construction manager.
Yes,
But forget all that. A lot of the times we try to customize something and we can't flat out execute. We can't get the material. So we're doing build jobs, but with guardrails.
and then they pick a tile, and then that's no longer available, and they get frustrated. They pick a tile, and that's no longer available, and they get frustrated, and, so, yes, and you wanna make your buyers happy, so,
It's-
you
So to
know.
Kevin's question, he said he's selling specs, are you selling them at it from the minute they start, or at a certain stage?
Typically today, we're selling them after they've been framed. And the challenge, as everyone knows, lumber was going up every single month, and we were paying the price, what the cost was the day it delivered to the job site.
So you
And
wanna
so it was
know
very
your
difficult, and so,
Forecast.
today, we're selling anything that's past frame stage, but, again, that can very likely change. And the one point I would like to make is that, you know, with all of these restrictions and the people not being able to make the choices that they make and the challenges that we've had, I would say, and I'm not, you know, I think the benefit that we've really had with realtors is that you guys understand what's going on.
Right.
And buyers come in and they're frustrated and they're seeing houses that are sitting for long times at the same stage. And, you know, it's great to have realtors who support what we're doing and saying, listen, this is kind of what's going on today, and you have to have patience. And so I would say we all greatly appreciate that.
Really, truly.
Absolutely.
One big one, just so you're all totally square on this. We talked about engineered wood product or the subfloors for the second floor. Sometimes your buyer, they bought a 2-story home.
Right.
And they're seeing all these 1-story homes go
Go
way
fast.
past it, and they're like, why is my home not progressing? That's one of the biggest ones, and they get really mad.
Yeah.
You try to explain, well, yeah, I know your home started before this home, and this home now is way further along. It's because you have a 2-story, and it's really
Right.
hard to find that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, some of the public companies have just decided not to sell 2-stories.
Yes,
So,
absolutely. Some of the big ones just aren't doing it.
Right.
I know of a couple. What would you say to the benefit of those agents here in attendance, would be where your companies are building, would be the top 2 up and coming communities that either that you're in that still has plenty of availability or that's coming, that would be what you would consider an A+ community. I mean, I know it's not gonna be in Frisco or, you know, but what you would consider an A+ community, then that you're most excited about being a part of? Whoever wants to start.
I would say our add-on to Winton Ranch, I think we're, all 3 of us are in there. Mosaic.
See, good builders flock together.
Yeah,
You'll
yeah.
find this in communities, you'll see a community of not the best builders, and you'll see communities.
Us 3. Us 3.
Yeah.
to be clear,
You don't see us, it's not a quality.
Forget about it, go somewhere else. You showed up.
Well, this is great. We need to do this more often. So Mosaic is actually being developed by the same developer that did Winton Ranch. And then another one, I don't know if you guys might.
And where exactly Mosaic is just north
Just
of
it's
Winton?
Adjacent to the north.
Yeah.
North,
So
northeast
it's
adjacent.
Salina.
City of Salina.
City of
Still
Salina.
Prosper Schools, right?
Prosper Schools. Yeah,
Correct.
Prosper Schools.
And where is it
And
at
then-
as far as development?
Grading.
Yeah, they're grading.
You're out from
It'll-
delivering lots.
There you go.
Sorry.
And how long will this community be?
We're in 3 products there, but I don't,
Okay, so.
it's hard for me to remember, so.
Anybody know that one?
It's not, I would say it's about a third of the size
Yeah.
of Winton. It's
Okay.
not quite as
It's
big,
big.
but
You
it's still
guys know
relatively big.
Winton is 25% of Prosper. It's
Wow.
25% of the
Really?
entire city of Prosper is Winton Ranch. Yeah.
And then in Fort Worth, North or West Fort Worth, we're going to be in a community called Reunion.
Okay,
And it's a huge master plan community, so. I know it's a long drive, but it should be a real nice community for us.
so I assume Mosaic, if it's being done by,
Craig Martin.
yes, Craig Martin, it's also gonna be loaded with amenities, I would
Yeah.
assume.
Yes.
And those
Yes.
will probably go in first or towards the beginning,
Correct.
correct?
Based
What
on the
did you
lot
say?
price
The
and the builder
amenities?
fees, there better be amenities.
Yeah,
Precisely.
the amenity, so that's another thing about developers. Some developers will wait until there's enough sales to put amenities in, and sometimes those amenities never ever come. So.
There'll be a sign there.
Yeah, there'll be a sign for 12 years.
Future amenity.
Future pool coming. And then the really good quality developers like Winton Craig Martin at Winton, who's doing Mosaic, they will put the amenities in up front and paint the picture and all that. So that's the better, and that's where you find the better builders too, right? Okay, so Mosaic and Reunion.
I'd say, I'm gonna answer it in 2 parts, sorry. Future phases of existing communities, so Mustang Lakes, we've got,
and then talk.
building alongside Highland Homes on the 86s. There's a lot more 86s coming. There's hundreds coming in there. So
Wow,
that buyer that wants an 86-foot lot, you hear in this market all the time, hey, those are going away. Mustang Lakes is a place that over the next
Yes.
several years you're going to be able to continue to get them. So keep that in mind. Mustang Lakes, we're also going to have a luxury patio enclave just north of the amenity center. Model's going to be done on June 4th. That's a Saturday. So come out and check that new model out. That's really a model that's going to serve an empty nester buyer that
Yep.
might be downsizing from a 5,000 or 6,000 square foot home and wants to downsize, but has no desire to compromise on kind of fit and finish and
That
amenities
is
and
so
luxuries.
smart.
We're
That
doing that
is-
same luxury patio product in Winton Ranch, so 66 lots should deliver this week. That model will be finished in August, but our 86-foot model, Kim McCaffrey's there, our sales manager, just adjacent to Belclair's model. She'll be selling into that phase, so just wanted to give a plug for 2 future models, 2 future luxury patios.
That's a huge niche that
Really
I've been
is.
saying forever, because people want that, they're downsizing and they want quality, but smaller to
That's right.
retire into.
That's right.
That's
And
awesome.
then, and then new communities, I give a plug to Parks at Wilson Creek. So if you've heard of Mustang Lakes, you know Cambridge, the developer. As you move north up Custer, just north of Mustang Lakes, Parks at Wilson Creek will be delivering. They say in December, so models will probably start going vertical in January 23 and then hopefully hitting that spring selling season.
It's hard to pick just a couple, but I would say we're really excited to be in Painted Tree in
Yeah,
McKinney.
yeah.
So we'll be on 40s and 50s. Those lots are supposed to deliver, they said in
I think it was
June.
delayed just a bit long.
It's delayed a little bit. I would imagine sales won't start there until late summer, early fall. But Painted Tree, everybody's familiar with Painted Tree.
Where is that?
Just north of Timber Creek,
Yeah,
Is that in?
in McKinney.
Osborne, okay, McKinney.
it's just south of Timber Creek.
Just south of,
Yeah.
just south of Timber Creek in
You
McKinney.
go up Harding.
Yes.
And then you're Belclair's on a half acre, right? Windsong?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have some half acre lots in Windsong that are coming up. Are you guys interested?
We're not.
Okay.
Wow.
Half acre lots in Windsong Ranch
Wow.
that should finish here in the next couple months, I don't know.
Yeah.
So what prices do you think those ones are gonna be at? on
We
those
haven't
properties?
priced, I mean, half acre in Windsong Ranch is probably gonna be a couple $1 million,
Yeah.
right?
I was gonna say on the 86s, Kevin and I are probably in that 1.5, 1.6 range,
So
Yeah.
2 million would make sense on the half acres. For affordability, I'll make this plug, probably we have homes released, but they haven't, they're starting right now. It's Sherman, it's a deal called Bel Air, it's right off 75, and we have townhomes, 40s and 50s. And, we should have selling ability, probably in the next 60 days. Maybe sooner, we'll see, but that's for folks who can't afford Prosper or McKinney, and we can shoot up and go to Sherman. And it's interesting, we've been in Sherman Denison now for a few years, and it's its own economic hub. But we see a lot of people go up there because
Thank you,
they,
Pat Boyd.
yeah, they can't afford McKinney or Prosper,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
certainly not Frisco.
Yeah.
Um,
And if they do a great townhome product.
Yeah.
You
What's your
really
price
do.
point gonna be?
I have no idea.
Probably like.
Seriously.
Probably like 400.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
think,
420.
yeah, I would probably guess low 400s. The townhomes might maybe start in the high 3s, but I can't commit to that.
That's recorded.
The part that I said might not get.
Yes.
So we
Okay.
should know in the next month or so.
So I'm gonna open it up to questions. So either, yep,
So you talked about Earnest Money and deliverance on the lots and talking to different on-site reps. I used to be one, so I know a lot of your game, that you have to deal with, but what about Earnest Money currently, for current buyers? Are you doing a flat percentage? And that's obviously gone up. And for the build jobs, for the two that are doing build jobs, are you doing an increased amount? So I know there are a couple builders that are saying like, if you wanna do a build job, we're fine with it, but it's an additional 100,000 because we have estimated costs that are gonna go up, and so if you
We're
wanna
not,
take everything out.
we're not asking for additional
Funds.
money to do a build job.
Okay.
Now, we are pricing our homes with some uncertainty in mind, to
Sure.
be quite candid with you. To answer your question on the Earnest Money, we've just recently increased it. So we could be top of market, but we feel like if we're gonna take the risk of building a build job and we're not gonna have escalation clauses, we wanna make sure that we're in this together.
Yeah, absolutely.
So our Earnest Money for build jobs is 10%. So you can imagine, you're coming in, you're doing $1 million house, you gotta be ready to commit.
Right.
You gotta come in with a $100,000 check. Now, if, oh my gosh, I'm the owner in this company, I need to sell stock, and I have a 50 today, and I need a 50 and 30, we're gonna be reasonable and work with you, but we wanna make sure that commitment's there, because we're certainly
That's
coming to
smart.
the table with commitment to put that.
Yeah, we charge a flat percentage, right now it's 3% earnest money, build or spec. And for a build job, if they're going to design center, there's decor selections, we ask for a 50% non-refundable deposit on the decor they select. And that's in part to make sure that we don't wanna get.
Purple carpet.
It's
Right.
shag carpet, you know, it's making it come.
It's the
That is not the design center.
That's not at the design center, but,
We can't get it.
Not a stop.
but likewise, you know, and 3% is pretty reasonable, so we usually don't have to deviate from that. There have been an occasional time where somebody, hey, I can bring the extra in, you know, 8 weeks or 6 weeks, whatever. We'll try to work with them, but ours has been, typically it's been 3% flat across the board and then the 50% non-refundable.
And, but like flex options, porches, community rooms, you're not.
We don't collect non-refundable money on architectural options.
Okay.
We do on design decor options.
Kevin, what's your,
Today ours is 10%, but we work with customers and mainly because they're not going through the design process, so we're not collecting that additional money, so it's 10% and we work with people.
and listings, are you guys listing your specs, before a certain stage, or are you waiting until, I mean, obviously, hopefully they're done sold by completion, but I've seen several other builders that have been listing their, specs and they cannot sell them, cause they're either on we can only sell 2 or 4,
They're on a lot
and then,
of
or they have, we have 10 people on it. Why would you list it in MLS if you have 10 people ready to go on it?
Yeah, we don't do that. We list them when we're ready to sell them.
Okay.
So if we have specs that aren't at a stage where we're able to sell them, we don't list them.
And we put them on our website and on MLS once the slab is poured.
Okay.
We've gotten feedback from realtors that if you put out a spec on MLS and there's not even form boards up, then you drive by with your client to see that and it's a lot.
Yeah.
So we typically list
But
in
it
slab.
says that typically in MLS.
It does, but, you know, anyway. So that's our typical thing, is it slab pour, which is a stage 1,
Okay.
frame is stage 2. But we've made mistakes. I mean, we have 600 specs in DFW, we have over 1,000 across the state, so there's occasionally a mistake made where we list something that isn't for sale. And, cause we were, like Kevin, we were very recently selling framer grader, stage, and so somebody would list a spec at a slab and someone would come and wanna buy it, and I'm like, well, it's not for sale, and I'm like, well, why do you have it listed? That may have happened a couple times with us.
So I have a question, I have one more question I forgot to ask that actually I'm really wondering about. Since in the last year, there have been less homes being built due to, just selling a few a month, cutting back. Explain to me why there's been such a labor shortage, because I know it's a big problem. I know that they're demanding much higher prices, people are stealing a framer from this company and paying them more to come over here. What is creating the huge labor shortage?
Well, that covered.
55,000 starts.
Yeah, it's the starts, it's not the sales.
So 55,000 starts and, we're competing with every other industry that has, a shortage of labor. And, do you wanna be in the construction industry and work out in the hot heat and do all those things, or would you rather work in an office?
So like with all the starts that you have, like if there was that many starts, how come there weren't that many homes to be sold?
Because the build cycle's taking longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we have, more than half of our specs right now are not listed.
So your starts, this year were how many compared to last year?
Well, the year's not over.
No, but what do
You
you think?
mean the last 12 months versus the previous
Yeah.
12 months?
Yeah,
Our starts are probably, I don't know what that number, I'd guess 12 to 15%.
okay.
Yeah, it's.
See, it doesn't feel that way to us.
No, I know,
does
because
it?
they're not for sale.
Right.
But we're also, and it's not, we're competing, like Kevin said, but you know who else is competing? Like literally the lumber yards, drivers to drive the lumber to the job site.
Oh, yeah.
Amazon is hiring those drivers and
Mhm.
paying them more, right? I mean, this is not just our industry, but all the supporting industries are being poached and because of the labor spiral wage thing we're going through.
How is Amazon's hoarding of building materials affecting you all? No, seriously.
No, I've heard that, I've not really seen maybe that is having an impact I don't see, but I haven't.
I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah. I mean,
Do you?
I wish we
No,
had,
I don't.
I wish we had hoarded, I wish we'd been smart enough to hoard materials, but we weren't.
Yeah, you think about Amazon, but you also think about the energy business. I mean, they're making a huge resurgence. We're all seeing that at the pump. So they're stealing drivers too. That industry's back. And then lumber's coming down because of market dynamics, supply and demand dynamics. But our lumber suppliers are now saying, hey, gas is expensive, so we're charging you, builder, a surcharge to get material from point A to B. So there's a myriad of dynamics, but I would say, Cindy, high level, starts are up. I would say most builders probably would echo what Aaron said. When you compare first quarter of this year to first quarter of last year, starts are up.
Yeah.
But in order to deliver those homes with the elongated cycle times by the end of the year, we all made a pretty significant push to get homes started in the first quarter, just to give ourselves a runway to finish it. Historically,
That
Kevin
makes sense.
and Aaron could probably start a house when? July and still finish it before the end of the year, June.
Yeah, and in Houston, I could start in September and close it, but not anymore,
Yeah.
not anymore.
Yep.
So a couple of questions to follow up on that. One is with the fuel impact, right? So with your economist and all those things, right, the cost of living is going up, but the fuel piece, I think, is gonna be a bigger impact than even the interest rate, at least in the short term for buyers. What are the economists saying? How is that gonna impact the supply and demand cycle for the next 6 to 8 months? Or what are they thinking?
For the supply and demand for homes,
Demand specifically.
yeah. The supply side, you already touched on it, I mean, in the month of February alone, we added average about $2,200 a house just in fuel surcharges from all our suppliers, just in fuel surcharges. Demand side, I'll answer that question, I don't know the answer, and the economists we talk to don't really, and the consultants don't really give us that level of specificity, at least the ones we talk to. But what's gonna be really interesting is this work remote thing, and the hybrid solution. I think part of why employers are, obviously struggling to get some of their workers to come back into the office is because of the fuel costs. I mean, although they also really like working from home, but the fuel cost is just another avenue. So what we asked a question one time of one of our consultants, it's like, so if the fuel charges stay at this level, is this gonna make it difficult to sell it further out, even with this remote work?
Right, right.
They really couldn't give us a straight answer. I think intuitively, it is gonna make it harder a little bit to be a little further out, because on the chance they're working for a company that currently lets them work remote or 100%, and now suddenly they want you to come back to the office 3 days a week, they're not gonna wanna drive from Denison to Dallas, right? So I don't know the answer to that question, and nobody specifically told us anything like that, but I don't think you guys have.
So we didn't touch on very much on the interest rates. So, and affordability and all of that, which, except for you saying you thought it was maybe a good thing.
Well,
Yeah, he touched on it.
and I think,
Let him retouch on it.
I think he's changed his
What are
mind.
your, yeah.
Let me add on to the poll I dug. I think for us selfishly, the price point we serve, that's candidly how we're viewing it. We think there's a silver lining there with
He's
the
got
epoxy and foil for lack of
He's got rich people.
We're sick of hearing about black windows not getting it. I mean, so hopefully some of this craziness loosens up. But I will say what you'll most likely see in this rising interest rate environment is some of the unique mortgages are gonna come back. I mean,
Right.
how long has it been since we talked about ARMs?
Yes.
We're talking to, our mortgage lenders, and the 647's the limit. Well, if they qualify you for a jumbo right now at 650, you can get like 1.5 points lower. So there's some uniquenesses as you talk to your mortgage lenders that I think we're just gonna have to work a little harder and be a little bit more creative to get people across the finish line.
But not too creative.
But not-
That would happen last
Yeah,
time.
that's right. I'm done talking about it.
People to lose their homes, but if they stay with a conventional mortgage, for those of you who may not know, you probably all know, but for every 1% increase in interest rates, the purchasing power to keep their price exactly the same, you lose 10% purchasing power. So if people wait and the house goes up by 50,000 and interest rates go up by 1%, they're in the hole 100 grand where they could have bought.
Well, and that was the point I was making. You probably face buyers today who still are paralyzed going, I think I wanna wait. So the reality is, we're at 5 3/8 roughly for a mortgage, 30-year mortgage, and I do think you're right, arms are coming back. And by the way, a jumbo below an FHA loan for rate right now, that just makes no sense. But anyway, cause I saw the same thing last week. If a buyer's waiting for a price to go down, you could ask them, how much do you think it's going to go down? And they're like, well, I don't know, maybe 20,
Yeah.
maybe 30, okay. But if the interest rate goes up 50 basis points,
Right.
you're losing.
Right.
Every buyer I've talked to in the last 3 years that said, maybe I'll wait, every single one of them, I'm like, that's a mistake. It's not gonna get better. There's no bubble to burst. There may be an aberration, okay? So there may be an existing home somewhere where they dropped the price, or maybe there was a new home and they waited, and maybe they're one of your clients, and all of a sudden the price dropped by 20 grand. Well, hallelujah, you won the jackpot. That is a bad bet. Because interest rates will likely stay where they're at or go a little higher, and every time the interest rate ticks up, that purchasing power got devastated. Home price affects purchasing power, the monthly payment, a lot less than that interest rate. So in this environment where, with the Fed's probably gonna raise the federal funds rate again, they're gonna start their quantitative tightening instead of easing and all that. I mean, if the whole economy goes into a massive recession, then the Fed might not follow through with it, okay? And yeah, maybe home prices come down a little. It seems like a pretty big gamble, and everybody who took that gamble, I'm gonna wait in the last 2 years, has lost big.
Yeah.
And before Kevin chimes in, let's just remember, we're all,
I fell asleep.
yeah. Think about what we're talking about think about the focus of this discussion as it relates to interest rates. We're talking about what it was 6 months ago compared to now. Back up 30 years. Think about the first home you bought. We're at 5 3/8. It's still pretty darn low when you look at it from a multi-decade view. So
Yes.
I think that's something that all of us in this room and in this industry, we need to continue having that top of mind and that discussion with our buyers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You mean you ask a couple questions of Kevin?
Yeah.
I'm good, what they said. I would just say interest rates are impacting our business, and I mean, we've gone from a lot of people wanting to buy our homes to, a few, so, and it's all based on interest rates.
Yeah, it's gonna be a hit for sure.
Yeah. Some people are canceling too, not because
Yeah.
they don't qualify, they're just freaked out,
Yes.
right? They've seen their 401k go down 30%.
Exactly.
Right,
the
they're
double whammy.
a little worried about job security, even in an
Yes.
incredibly tight labor market. Some of this is irrational, doesn't matter, people buy homes on emotion,
Yeah.
right? And so we're seeing
And
some of that.
it's a scary thing,
Yeah.
even when all of this stuff isn't going on, it's a very scary thing, it's your biggest
Biggest
financial
investment
purchase,
usually.
yeah.
One more,
So-
one more follow-up on that. From the time that you went under contract from the start to the closing, you've got about that 12 to 15,000 differential, right, between the 55,000 and the 40,000 that closed versus starts. What's that optimal differential that you guys are trying to get to? Like, if you could say, hey, I want it to be
Zero.
8,000, you want it to be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
typically it's zero.
It'd be nice to close.
Typically.
Starts and closings are usually a lot tighter.
Yeah, yeah.
So you like it to be less than 5,000 for sure.
In a perfect world, a home builder starting 2 homes a month, selling 2 homes a month and using fake numbers of 2, but it'd be nice if sales starts and closings were just flatlined and equal.
Who's going into PGA? I know you are. You are? No?
Going where?
PGA.
There's other parcels
So-
that maybe we're gonna be in, but we're not in this initial one.
So people get asked this all the time, and I know it's gonna be very.
People get asked, that's PGA, that's funny, I thought that you
No, I did not know, that's funny. Anyways, people always wanna know how much it's gonna be to get into PGA, so on a 50-foot lot,
Well, we're on 60s.
60s, okay,
Alley served,
okay,
and there's only gonna be like 33 of them.
okay.
I don't know, but I would guess we will start at 2.
Yeah, 2 million and north.
For a 60-foot alley served.
Wow.
It's a Huntington,
Alley
so I'll have Huntington finish it on. But remember, we paid $240,000 for that lot.
So why is there
That's
an alley?
base before all the fees.
Why is there an alley if it's on the golf course?
It's not on the golf course.
No, it's not.
I'm gonna
It's
go
an
over here.
interior.
It's getting hot up there.
The the custom sized lots that'll be on the golf course, the lots will probably go for $1 million.
Oh, I know. My brother's actually looking at one, and one he's looking at is 1.5 mil, and the other one is 2 mil for the lot. Yeah.
Any home back in the golf course in the PGA is going to be a $5 to $10 to $15 million proposition.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why we're not there.
We've got a toe.
Simple math.
We've got a toe in the water. And you ask, why are there rear load homes? It's because it's Frisco.
Right.
Go ask, are we still recording?
I know. I've been to a few of those meetings in arguing that,
Yeah.
but anyways. Okay, what other questions? Yes?
A question on availability of lots in Collin County, right, with everyone moving in. What is your projection at when Collin County will not have any more lots available?
Yeah, they're done.
Because that's a question that comes up.
No, they're not done.
Collin County's huge.
When
they're not
Salina
done.
built out? Because Salina will be bigger than Plano when it gets built
Is
out.
that where most of the lots are gonna be, like, growth, because that's what I'm telling my buyers, is that Salina is like the
Yeah,
place to be.
it's where it has the most room to grow,
That's
yeah.
all really anybody can do anymore.
Yeah, Salina's certainly the biggest. I would say what, in Collin County, Town of Prosper's the smallest.
Smallest.
You know, McKinney probably doesn't get enough airtime in terms of how much land they have. I mean, 50% of their land to the north of 380 is still up for grabs. Utility dynamics and Highway 380 bypass dynamics and
Floodplain.
so there's a lot of dynamics, but McKinney's got a long road as well. So when you look at Collin County, I would say Salina and McKinney have a good runway.
So when one of my groups met with some of these economists that you guys meet with, they were saying that, and I forget the year, how far down the road it's 15, 20 years, or whatever, that the main employment hub of all of DFW is going to be in Collin County at, you know, kind of like, it's gonna be in Collin County.
Star.
Have you guys heard the same thing?
Yeah.
Have you?
I have not heard that particular thing,
I have not either.
but I have
Okay.
heard that.
Yes, I'm in downtown Dallas.
Well, no,
downtown
I mean, like-
Fort Worth. It's gonna be Collin County, Denton, like where it comes together there.
Yeah, and like most metropolitan areas that
Like
grow, you end up having
121
other
and
economic
Tollway.
hubs, right? So you have the hub of downtown.
Tollway.
Yeah. You've got the hub of the $5 billion mile, or whatever they used to
Yeah,
call it right
like
there,
the
121 Tollway.
platinum now, the platinum
Whatever it's called
corridor.
now. Sherman Denison's gonna be a big hub,
Yeah.
TI's moving there, there's supposed to be another big announcement of somebody, I mean, so they're gonna be these
I'm
economic
actually
hubs.
talking like 121, the Tollway. So
Yeah.
it's like Denton, Collin, like that.
And there's a lot of employment there right now.
There is, and Cindy, when you think about 121 on the toll road, and you know, in this room, when we talk about PGA, we're all focused to lots. Can I get a lot back into the golf course for $500,000? I think when I think of the PGA, there's so
All the
much
neighborhoods
more
around
than
it.
just the single family that's coming there. Obviously, the Omni, the golf course, but Phoebe, who did Legacy West, he's got his toes in the water to do a whole nother one. So to your point, there's gonna be satellite employment corridors that not only feed 121 and the toll road, but they keep moving north.
There has to be.
There has to be. And then you think about the toll road, the growth in Dallas, up the Golden Corridor, up Preston, up the toll road. If you haven't driven the toll road across 380 or 380 and seen what's happening to the north, then go and watch the feeder dead end in the 455. Mario Sinicola and Sons, they're a grading contractor. They're already grading the toll road north of that. So
Yes.
that push, if a buyer thinks Salina's far now, just wait. I mean, it's a short drive, and the toll road's just gonna
Used to be
fuel that.
far away from Dallas.
That's right.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Are y'all seeing any like northern builders come down and try to start buying up those lots and kind of like move y'all out of the way to get their business? So like if let's say I have a client that wants to buy a home, but I don't know this company. Are we seeing that there's more companies coming to build homes in Texas that we should be like on the lookout for? Cause if I'm gonna build a house, I wanna build it with a company that is, you know, local to Texas. Are y'all seeing a lot of companies?
I would say there's a lot of builders that are, I mean, DFW is getting a lot of positive news. So there's a lot of builders that are trying to get into this market. I think it's challenging too, given how this market is so relationship based on the land side, which is really where they're gonna start. There are some quality ones, not to give our
But there's
competitors
three.
too much airtime.
There's
but
always three.
Partners in Buildings coming up from Houston, they're a high-end luxury group that our family over the years had a lot of enjoyment building alongside in the woodlands. So there's some groups that are gonna come in, there's gonna be some winners and losers, but I think the answer to your question is yes, there's builders that are
I
trying
just
to
didn't
get
know
over.
since it takes so long to develop a lot, you know, we may not see that until like 2 years down the road
Correct.
when they're developing these lots and here all these
And
companies
there's a
pop
lot
up.
of trust built with realtors and builders, and, you know, they represent a lot of buyers, so it's tough to come in as a new guy. 'Cause,
It
you
really
know, I
is.
feel comfortable bringing my buyers to you guys, and, unknown is, you know, hard.
And
It's very in
developers,
Dallas.
developers feel the same way. I mean,
Yeah,
most
they
of
buy
the
it.
major master plan communities will go to us typically
Right.
first. Because we're easy to work with, privately held. We don't have a committee that we have to make decisions on land. And our ability to make decisions, our ability to, in some cases, cash out lots,
Yeah,
we can do that. So,
Yep.
for the most part, it is very difficult for new builders to come here and get a seat at the table at the premium master plan communities.
But you're right, they buy their way in by finding a land deal.
Right.
And then developing it somehow themselves, but there are many who have already come, but you haven't heard them, because it does take a while for lots to
Right.
develop.
That's what I'm
That's
trying to
exactly
get.
right.
So
And
there's like gonna
Dallas-
be that lull that.
If you have a question about a builder, just come to our model, talk to our sales manager, we'll answer the question, we'll answer the question.
and Dallas is interesting because they have more buyers represented by realtors than a lot of other cities,
Right,
right?
right.
Yeah, so, yes, question? Yes.
What about, I know you guys are focused on, you know, like new communities and further up north. What about, do you guys do any, revitalization communities that are going on, like in North Dallas or more Dallas proper? Anything like that?
We don't.
No.
It's complicated and it's extremely difficult, and it's one of the reasons why, you know, we get first seat at the quality new communities, and so it's hard for us to do that.
Yeah.
I think David Weekley does that.
They do.
You know, they're
Yeah,
kind
they
of
do.
focused that, and I think they do a pretty good job.
They do a great job.
Well, yeah,
And then
but-
there's Huntington remodel, so.
Yeah, we do, I was saying, we do one house at a time.
Yeah,
That's
they
what-
remodel, they do have an arm that does that.
Yeah, we have a separate
It's
business.
called Huntington Remodel.
Huntington Remodel, it's
Yes.
separate from Huntington Homes, the
Yes.
for sale. And they do them one at a
So,
time. And
like-
And they're focused here, and in the woodlands in Houston.
So I think we should give these guys a huge hand and thank
Yeah.
them.